and welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy.
I'm Elaine.
And as always, we have a craft and a crime.
And bug bites.
I know you're itching your hand like crazy.
The mosquitoes are so bad
really
right now.
is.
I have so many bug bites. I invested in a huge bottle of the hydrocortisone cream because everybody's allergic, but like I will get huge welts and I get scars. And
You need
it looks
that
ridiculous.
bug bite thing that I have.
do.
The whoosh.
The thing that sucks though is that they get me in my sleep.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so when I wake up, it's like too late already.
Yeah.
They're like the size of a quarter.
Avery will go out late at night to like water, and then she'll come in and she's like, I have like 18.
It's
and I'm like,
because
oh my
they
gosh.
freaking, as soon as the water hits the plant, they all
come out. Yeah. So she gets a ton. I'm like,
Poor
I
thing.
made some bug spray with like all, like I have citronella,
I love that
peppermint. I think I ran out of lavender. I can't remember what it all had in it, but but you do like a little tiny spray bottle, the amber spray bottle, and you do like mostly witch hazel and then water and then the essential oils, and it works. So when you remember to put it on, but she always forgets, and she's like counting them when she comes in. She's like, I got like 27.
It's the freaking
I'm like,
worst.
"What the heck?" But yeah, right now my kids are at my parents' house, so
Nobody will hear a single anything.
No.
Until Jack comes home.
dude, the cat's scared the shit out of me.
Okay.
I was in here on the phone with Jack, and all of a sudden it like literally it was like it sounded like somebody was walking. I was like, what the heck? And the dogs were outside and it was right here, like right in the living room. It was the cats fighting, like playing.
Oh.
And so it was like the cats like flop, flop,
How
flop, like
funny.
flopping around the floor. It was because they're so fat.
They were like
And so-
suplexing each other by the neck.
it was so loud. I was like,
Oh
oh
my
my gosh.
gosh.
My heart was like in my chest, like up in my throat. I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I like came out all like, hello. And then they're all like,
Because in
on
case
each
you're
other.
new here, we have ghosts.
yeah. I know. I was like, is that somebody in my house? And
Is
I'm like,
somebody
all the
breaking
doors
in
are
or is it a
locked.
ghost?
I know. So that scared me. But yeah, I don't have my kids. So I have been moving nonstop. Since I haven't been relaxing. I've been doing
Who
this.
does that?
I know. No, I took the opportunity to finish the girls' room. And so I did, well, when they got their bed, you know, I painted like just the two tiny half walls
Yeah.
where the bed was. So I
Uh-huh.
didn't have to move the bed and paint and stuff. Well, I still had the rest of the room, which is more than half. It was like 3/4 of the room left. And so I was like, I got to move her bookcase in because, you know, we switched rooms and stuff. And so I was like, I'm going to paint. So I moved everything out of the way. I moved, that wardrobe was so light. I was thinking I was going to need help. It
Nice.
just slid across the floor.
Lucky.
So I moved it out of the way. I did one coat. Jack came home from work. He was outside doing gardening stuff. And I used up all of that 1 gallon on the first coat, which basically was just from
Was
that.
that yesterday?
That was a couple days, Saturday.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Was that the day that was that the day that happened?
Mm-mm.
Saturday?
No,
Was
that was, I don't remember. I think it
yeah,
was the day-
because we
yeah,
went
it
to the
was.
movies. I was trying to remember because Jack had come out and we were talking. Because I was like, you was
Yeah.
outside gardening? Because Kurt and I were sitting outside like most of the night.
Yeah, so yeah, it was Saturday because he worked and he came home and I was painting and then he went outside gardening and I used up the 1 gallon on like the one, like the little bit of the window and then all that wall to the door and then a little past the door because I was like, I'm gonna just finish the whole room.
Yeah.
So I used up that gallon, shook up the other gallon of paint, brand new paint that we got, poured it out. There's no pigment in it. They didn't mix the color in.
Oh my god, they literally gave you the freaking
the-
matte primer
Yep.
white. Oh no.
And so I was like, are you kidding me? And so I told Jack, I was like, I need you to go to Home Depot and like exchange this because
how old was that gallon? Was it
it's when we got the stuff for the pantry. So not that long ago, but it's Home Depot. They're good. They just swapped it out and they were like, oh, sorry about that. And
Yeah.
so Jack was like, I need the can to like look at what color it is. I'm like, it's Swiss coffee. It's like the most common color. I just wanted a basic white, like easy to get.
It's a
You
good
could get
white.
it everywhere. Yeah, it is. And so he said when he went, they actually have it on the shelf all pre-mixed because it's that common.
nice.
And so he was like, somebody just grabbed the wrong one. They didn't grab the pre-mixed Swiss coffee. They just grabbed the primer next to it because it was a pickup order.
Ooh. Okay.
It was like order and then pick up curbside or in store. So he had to go to Home Depot and swap it out. But he got me a little asparagus fern to put in my terrarium.
Oh,
thing.
cute. Those are so adorable.
Yeah.
And fluffy.
So it was just like, are you serious? So I finished painting. And then kind of moved everything back, and I'll have to show you. It's really, really cute in there. But I got the girls new curtains, put the curtain rods up. I had to patch so many holes and stuff, but moving TVs around. And then in Lincoln's room, I moved the bed. I got Troy a new TV mount because we moved his TV to the foot of his bed. And then
what? Like up on the wall where the records
I'll show
were?
you.
Holy
Yeah.
crap, that's
so not
cool.
up there.
Okay.
It's like, so you know how there's like the room divider? Like
Yeah.
there's an addition in our house to the back bedroom. And so it's like, it used to be, I think, the back patio. And they just turned it into a bedroom, or an addition onto the bedroom. So there's like a little step down. But there's like this wall that juts down. And so, yeah, Troy has all his records on those, record holder things on the top. It's on the side. So on the wall on the side, and then the arm comes out. So, yeah, I haven't shown you at all any of the stuff that I've been doing. Oh my gosh, there's a moth in my face.
At least it's not a mosquito.
Catching the little trap. And so I moved Lincoln's bed. I had to fix his fan because he broke a fan blade. I mounted his TV, mounted Troy's TV. I didn't paint in that room. I took out all the toys from both rooms. Mm-hmm. Organized all the toys. That's why I still have stuff everywhere. And then, as you know, I started doing laundry, and my washer broke. Mm-hmm. And it's not spinning, so I need to get my other washer out of my garage. Oh, no. And so I'm not even doing my own laundry right now.
That sucks.
But we'll get it figured out today because I need to do laundry. I have so
And it's funny
much.
Because I was telling you, like, just before we got on here, I was like, well, luckily I did mine for the day. So
yeah, I'm like, I need to use your washer.
Yeah, I just need to pop my stuff in the dryer. So
yeah, my dryer works, but
a little bit longer. But
I'm like, I just need to use your washer. I need to get something done, and then I need to get the nuggets out of your garage. I'm like,
I think the babies are probably ready to go too.
Oh yeah,
they're pretty decently sized. Like when I have to catch it, I gotta use 2 hands.
I swear, those quail have a death wish because today I went to go fill up like a little bit more. Their 5-gallon bucket of water was full, and I went to go put more in, and there was like this much of a gap in the door, like not even 6 inches open, and one of the quails just like like out. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, stay in here. You're gonna die out there. So, oh my gosh, this moth.
It is. That's crazy.
Did I get it?
No, it's so close.
Oh, where'd it go?
Right there. So close.
Oh. I have this, what's it called? Pantry moth trap. We have these, like, I think because it rained. I think that's what Bill was saying. Since it rains so much, we get, oh, now it's on the ceiling. Look at all these. Ew. I know. There's a lot of cat hair in there, too. Because the cats will rub up on it and then get stuck on it. And, like, it's always Frankie. So, but speaking of which, Frankie freaked out. I totally forgot to tell you, he freaked out yesterday. Meowing the loudest I've ever heard him meow for like 15 minutes straight.
He's like, why is everybody gone?
I have no idea what it was. And Jack was like, he just wants his steak because we had steak last night. And I was like, I don't know. Everyone's kind of freaking out. They don't know what to do. And that's the thing is I don't have kids to get in the way. Harrison and Calvin are like children. Mm-hmm. Harrison is my dog, and he is big and stupid and always in the way. And every time I turned around, I'd trip over him because he was like my shadow right behind me.
Like, I'm bored.
Calvin, on the other hand, almost jumped in the tray of paint, then jumped up on the windowsill when it was wet with paint.
Oh my god!
And then almost broke my blinds in the living room trying to get in to look at the birds out front. And oh my gosh!
That's what he does when there's nobody around to bother him and stimulate him. He's like, I'm just gonna get in trouble. But that's like Binks. Mm-hmm. He does it on purpose, and I know he's totally, animals are so much smarter, so they just manipulate us. And when he wants out, he'll just start acting up. Yeah, and he's such a good cat, but he'll just start acting up. He'll go and pick on June. He'll pick on Johnny. He's so mean. And then I'm like, fine, just go outside. Yeah, because he's the only one that we let outside.
He came and said hi to me today.
He's so sweet. He
really opened up the door and he was like right there in front of the screen.
He really likes hanging out in your guys' yard because the front yard's grass is so plush and cool right there under the tree. He really likes it there. So pretty much if I cannot find him and he's like doesn't listen because he's like a puppy. You call him and he'll come running from wherever he is in the neighborhood. But it's hot right now, so I'll call him and I don't find him and. Then I'm like, wait a minute. So I go out in the front and I go and I lean out and he's usually in your front yard all sleepy. He's like, what? Because it's hot, but it's really nice in the front yard.
Yeah, it is. I know Jack will look out. He'll walk by and he'll look out the window and he'll just be like, Bing.
He's so cute. But it's funny because like our front yard right now has these crazy weeds that come out super easy. I actually enjoy like just I'll squat down like boop, 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 and just pull out like a whole handful. But I need to actually bring like, even if I don't want to roll the green barrel, like a trash bag or something, because my hands fill up fast. But our grass isn't soft. It's like weedy grass, and while most of it's kind of green, it's still not soft. And your guys' front yard's so fluffy and soft, and he just like makes his little bed under the mulberry tree. It's cute.
Troy ran over one of the sprinklers, so Jack had to replace that because it was getting a little like bald in spots where obviously the sprinkler's not hitting it, so he replaced the sprinkler. So I'm like, but then since it's been so hot, everything's been growing so fast. You should see my backyard. We have everything like took off like crazy. Our grapevines are insane, and we have a ton of grapes. And then the tomato, the tomato plants that were growing by the quail run.
Like the balloon, the little air balloon looking ones.
The tomatoes, ones. The ones that are all like on the side by where the little planter of cabbage and stuff is. It is a jungle. It has taken over. It has spread across the grass, and there's so many tomatoes growing on there. We have to figure out what we're going to do with it. Everything has just...
Well, I guess you and I are canning a bunch of tomatoes again.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have okra that's growing that needs to be picked. So it's just everything took off. It's been so hot, and including the grass. It's insane back there. Wow. Insane.
Yeah. I'm still letting my entire backyard die off. So it's like pitiful and really ugly.
For all that mallow.
Which when it's dry, it comes out easy, but it's like cracking and breaking from like walking around the yard. But then I found a dead mouse in the yard.
Oh,
so
yeah.
like, what is no, another one.
Oh,
today.
Another one?
Yeah.
Oh,
the other one was a rat.
That's
yes.
That's right.
Yeah, the other one was a rat, and this one was a little mouse. And I'm guessing it's probably Binks. Because they're pretty undamaged, or somebody's poisoning, which kind of scares me because I'm hoping that...
I don't think we have any poison out. We usually, if we do put poison out, it's in the garage to keep them out of the garage or the shed. And usually then we'll find them in the garage or in the shed. So that's what I was afraid when I was moving the washer. I'm like, please don't let there be a dead mouse.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's like it's usually always like flat and petrified, and you're like, ew, it's so gross.
You can give it to me.
Yeah, when Jack moved all those logs, he found that dead rat, or I think it was a rat. It was pretty big, and left it in the pooper scooper. And the kids were like, "Oh my gosh, you got to come see what happened! A rat like died in the pooper scooper." And Jack's like, "No, I forgot to put it in the trash." But it was all dead. It was like mostly skeleton, but it's cool. Gross. But,
nature's cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it is what it is when you have chickens.
And
it's just,
and they're terrible around here too, because like as beautiful as palm trees are, they're the devil for pests. Like I love pigeons, but they like to live in them.
When you drive down this street over by the nice houses over there, that center divider, you'll see them run like between
rats.
Like like not a lot. Usually you'll see like a squirrel or like a gopher or whatever, or like the little ground squirrels or whatever. But yeah, every once in a while you're like, that's a rat or a mouse or something.
And they love to live in the palm trees with the big giant cockroach, palmetto bugs, and
you used to have a giant palm tree in your backyard.
Yeah, that.
So I know.
I'm still almost breaking my ankle.
I know, they just like keep unearthing themselves. It's crazy.
But yeah, the plans for the summer this year is just to tear out the whole back and like I'm gonna make like a little paddock for the chickens so that they can come out and like not necessarily free range, but it'll be more free rangeable. It'll be outside of their coop, but so they can't crap everywhere. And then the whole rest of the yard, I want to do some clover and wildflowers, but then like do some raised beds for stuff to try next year, because like right up against the fence would be a good area, because that side area is where we could put the little thingy in, so it's like hidden anyway.
What little thingy?
The little gate thingy.
Oh, that's right. Are hidden.
Because the thing is, right up against the exactly, because right up against the fence is so perfect, because midday it like shades itself, and so I'm like, I need to do something.
There's a lot we need to do in our backyard, and it's just too hot when it's like
terrible.
It's thankfully not in the hundreds right now. I was working on my temperature blanket, and I was like, oh my gosh, 109. Like, it's crazy. Or no, I think the highest it was like 107 or something like that, 106. And Jack's like, what are you gonna do when it's over? Because like my color chart, like the black is the hottest. He's like, what are you gonna do? Because it's like 101. No, wait, no, 102 and up is black. And he's like, what are you going to do when it's over 110? And I'm like, it's still black. Because it does get like...
Because we're on fire.
Yeah, we're on fire. That's why I did black for the hottest. I'm like, dead.
Like,
it's so hot. Yeah. But thankfully it's, 90-something today? It's still hot.
Yeah, but it sucks because, like, the breeze feels really nice, but then you're like, wildfires.
I know we have that fire by us.
There's 3 fires in our county.
There's one in Santa Barbara that's really bad that, like, 5 firefighters got hurt. Yeah. I know that we have one. Well, it's kind of in between us and my parents because the way that the wind blows, it's coming our way. So that's why our sky and air quality is horrible.
It's so nasty.
And
the other day, it was like 216.
It was so bad. I know. I was like, oh, don't go outside. And I'm like, oh, my poor animals. And then I think that was the day that Rex died.
It's just too hot. It's
one
so
of my
sad.
rabbits died outside. That was another thing. I think I'm done with rabbits. I don't know. I want to keep Molly, maybe. I love Molly. She's my Angora. But I'm just like, it's a lot of work and they're very finicky and it just hasn't been, I don't know. But I think I want to keep Molly.
Yeah. I know, and I got to get Susie out of there.
Uh-huh.
Is she doing okay?
She chewed through a hose and I had to replace a
Oh,
whole hose.
rude.
Yeah.
She was not happy being captured.
No, she's like, I'm gonna chew my way out of here. There was a hose that like one of the water hoses that like it took my 5 seconds, but there was a hose that was like this, like right here, and she pulled it through and chewed through it. I'm like, just drink through the whatever.
I'll buy her some toys.
Yeah,
have her chew on something other than tubes.
I don't know, but yeah, she chewed through a tube, and I didn't notice until I started filling it up, and it was like,
oh
and
no,
I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? And it was squirting like right on Molly, so I felt so bad because she's all fluffy. So yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, and then their food got all wet, so it's like, well,
gross.
Oh wow, we chit chatted for a long time. But you said your craft's kind of short, right?
Oh my god, it's tiny. I'm gonna call this a craft bite because it really is just super short.
That's okay.
And like I sat and I kind of looked up a couple other things, but yeah, they're just really. Look, okay, I got A's in science in school, but literally this is like craft bites brought to you by Science is fucking hard because it's a lot. But again, as we always say, like our sources are good. We put it in if you really want to get into the depth of the science I'm about to talk about, which is too much for my brain.
That was like when I was doing the color remover, and I'm like, it's like this acidic and blah blah blah. I'm like, I'm not gonna get too technical. That's why I kind of like skimmed over it.
It's a lot. So my craft is cyanotypes.
I literally just put that paper. I didn't organize, but I was putting some stuff away, and that paper came out.
Yeah.
So I forgot I had bought it.
Yep. It's so funny. So I have some too. I can't remember if the kind I got was just the Prussian blue color but I do know that I got one that was a little bit, that's actually something I could have looked into and I didn't think about that till right now, which is, the negative print comes out in colors. There's the paper in a different color. Yeah.
We just got
this is the plain blue.
Yeah.
Okay. So cyanotypes as we know it are actually, it's blueprint making. That's where it started from, to make copies of things that were more permanent, because I'm not sure. Here we go again. I could have looked this shit up, but it would make sense that carbon copying probably would have been some kind of a thing, but it's still not permanent because it could be smudged away.
Yeah.
So this is blueprinting was made to be a way to do a permanent copy of something. And it was invented by John William Herschel, actually Sir John William Herschel, who was born in, that name is probably kind of familiar. And he was born in 1792 in Slough. I'm just failing today, of Buckinghamshire. And he was an artist and a scientist, and he specialized in chemistry. He was... this is another name too. He was raised in a family of scientists. His dad was actually the very famous astronomer William Herschel, and he was the person who discovered Pluto.
Oh,
yeah.
It's not a planet anymore.
All right, some bullshit. So John was essentially the father of photography. He really was the one that started with these chemical processes that I'm not getting into because it's too much.
Okay.
But this part specifically, he actually was one of the first people who discovered that prisms are actually can it separates the light spectrum, and that you can single out individual colors from that light spectrum. And he was the first to single out pure white in the color spectrum, which is technically like the absence of color, whatever. And he called it his searching for color. It was like his big thing in life. And, you know, as we've talked about this a little bit before too in past episodes, where you're just like, I don't know how they friggin' did it, because geniuses just do it, and they probably like half gas themselves out with chemicals. But he realized that he was using engravings, and he was trying to learn to make a copy, and he's eventually like, hey, something's gonna happen. It's crazy. I looked through so many different articles, and like, it's science, I don't fucking know. It's too much. And so with engravings, he made the very first copied prints. He found that using light sensitive iron salts that would become oxidized with ferric ammonium citrate and potassium ferrocyanide, which is Prussian blue, which is a toxic, beautiful blue color that's like poisoned a bunch of people in the Victorian times.
Didn't you talk about that?
Sort of, yeah. There's a couple. There's a poisonous green one too. And so when you brushed the potassium ferrocyanide onto the paper, I'm guessing the salts, because again, it doesn't say. The salts are light sensitive, but they made it into an emulsion, you know, so that's painted first. I don't know how these papers don't get wrinkly, but when you look at them, if you touch them, they are an odd, flimsy wrinkliness.
Oh, okay.
But and so they had to be left to dry in a dark place, a dark room. They could not be exposed to natural sunlight. So then when they were dry, they were ready. So you basically have to do it pretty quickly in a dark area. You take a item, which specifically in this would be like a drawing on, you know, tracing paper. And they would place it on top, and then put a piece of glass, which I cover glass too, put a piece of glass on top to keep it totally flat, and take it outside and expose it to the sunlight. And eventually he figured out, now with the paper that we have in modern days, it takes about a half hour. Even on a cloudy day, because, you know, most of us know that, but it's okay. Like, even on horrible cloudy days and rain, there's still UV that's present. Yeah. When it would get wet. But so when you're done doing the imprint, you take it and you rinse it off with water, and you're rinsing off all of the solvent, which is weird, getting the paper wet again. And then when it's done, you wash off all of that ink, and you have the negative. So it's like a reverse shadow. And it's so special and beautiful. And I remember doing it in Girl Scouts. That's where I did that first. And it's interesting because all those chemicals sound super dangerous, but it's totally fine to just touch with your bare hands, which doesn't make any sense. So it literally is, again, broken record. So many of these are just like, that's it. That's it. Because nothing has changed. And really, the early 1800s is not that far away from current history. So, but, you know, art does as it does. And so art took over. And anything can be used on this paper as long as it can be held still. And I really do not understand how, but it's also used in photography. And I'm like, I don't even want to try to cover photography as a craft or an art, because I'm not smart enough. I don't want to. I'm not smart enough in that way. Like, this was a struggle, you know, but they can make photographs with it too. And it's amazing. And it's science magic.
I had to do that actually in high school.
I wanted to so bad, but I was like,
we learn in photography because as you know, I got like really into photography, and I did a lot of it in high school, and we learned how to roll, you know, your film, take it out after you've taken your pictures, and you go in the complete darkness, no light whatsoever, and you have to learn how to roll it onto the spool, put it in the chemicals. And we had the room, I can still to this day remember that smell. But then we also did one where it was where you had to, I cannot remember the process, but I remember it was something where we had to go outside with our image, and we had to develop it on special paper and put something over it. And I think I put like a leaf or something in. I can't remember, but that's cool. It was a long time ago. That was like 20 years ago.
But you know know what, though? Now that I think about it, that makes perfect sense that it would be, to do a photograph, it would be a large negative, because this is the negative space that's left behind. So it'd be a negative set on top of this cyanotype, and it'd pull the rest out.
I think it was like you don't continue the other steps. You stop halfway through. You do one step, and then you go back and you finish the steps or something. Like I said,
it's a lot.
Actually, it's been over 20 years, because that was probably when I was like a sophomore or junior in high school. So
it's crazy.
But I don't remember the process. I do remember doing it, and I remember it was so cool because it was like a leaf, a fern type looking leaf that had all the little I remember doing it. But
you know what, this is a perfect segue, because pressed flowers and leaves are perfect for this. My little finishing up is a very close friend of John's. Her name was Anna Atkins. She was born March 16th in 1799 in Tonbridge in Kent, England, and she was an artist and a pretty famous botanist, and she's considered to be the first person to make what's considered a fully illustrated book. And so she would, because again, this is a really perfect way. You just take out some, you take leaflets of paper with you, and you can do it on the spot if you wanted to. And so she would take her paper out into the field, and she would use it, and she would make, some of them are so amazing because you can see like the odd shape of how it's curled up when it was fresh or when she pressed it. And she documented the plants and the catalog that she had made. And her first book, I love it because it was a book of algae. And I was like, how did she do that? But I guess it was more like the leafy, mossy, floppy kind, not like the clear jelly kind.
Yeah.
And so I'll have like a cool little picture of her book on our Instagram. But yeah, that's it.
Cool. And was her last name Atkins or Atkins?
Yeah,
okay.
Like the Atkins diet.
Okay.
Yeah,
not like my my old last name, not my name now, but
yeah. So that's totally one of the crafts that we're gonna do, because we have like basically a whole like series of things. And yeah, you have yours, and then I have the rainbow colored paper. It's not rainbow, but like one is like blue, one's red, one's orange.
Yeah, I think
now I need to look up those colors. But yeah, anybody can do it. You can go on Amazon. Or if you don't support Amazon or wherever, it's readily available online, like, and it's pretty affordable.
Yeah, it wasn't that expensive.
It was like $11 for the packet of. I mean, it was like,
how many papers were in there.
It was like 10 or 12. It's not a lot, but
so you know what we should do, because I did get the shirts. I'll have to show you what that was a whole other thing, getting the shirts for tie-dye. They kept sending the wrong size, and stupid Walmart. It's like, we're gonna substitute your adult small for an adult large. Like, what?
That doesn't make sense at all.
Doesn't work that way. So I finally I have one extra shirt, but so Scarlett could choose which size she wants. But I have all the shirts for the kids to do tie-dye. We should do tie-dye and those, because like right now,
because we have to be outside anyway.
Yeah, because we could do the tie-dye inside at the table with like the big plastic thing. I've done it before inside, but in the garden, like I said, it's so crazy right now. We have so many flowers and leaves and just all that kind of stuff. We should totally do that with the kids and let everyone like pick their own things to put on their paper, since it's so hot out and it's not really like windy.
We should figure out, let's see what it would be helpful to do it in a picture frame. I wonder. I know. You
mean like with glass over it to keep it?
But so the kids aren't holding the glass, because the ends tend to be sharp still.
I'm like,
and they're going to want to carry it out.
Plexiglass.
So I don't know if I have a ton of shadow boxes. I don't have flat ones. But that'll work. I just don't want the kids to get hurt, and I know they're going to want to carry out their own picture. They're not going to want us to do it.
Yeah. Well, unless we're like, you have to let us do it. Like, you put it how you want to put it, and we're going to carry it out. But then also I have seen, because there was one that I saw where she had a big piece of that, how do you say it? Cyanotype? Cyanotype paper, and she brought it out under a blanket, went under the blanket, positioned herself on it, and then her like husband or whatever, boyfriend, pulled the blanket off, and she laid there. She had to have something like covering her eyes because it's so bright,
right?
But she like laid there with her hair and like stuff around her, but they got it all positioned under the blanket before removing it to lay.
Because it's not instant. It's not like
you have a
minute. Because it in a strong day, it's like a half an hour to an hour. So she'd have to lay there for a while.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh, that's so cool. So yeah, that popped up recently. Fun. So I'm like, we'll have to do that. And then we'll have to post it on socials when we finally get it done.
I love it. I think it's the prettiest thing. And now I'm sad because I feel like I did it in Girl Scouts, but I also feel like I got a paper pack from like the book fair or something. I have like that feels like something. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't. There's like some stuff from high school. I remember making a microwave thing. I'm like thinking about sun projects. I'm like, I don't think I did the thing with the hot dog cooker where you like have foil and then you like take your hot dog outside and your little box. It's supposed to be like a microwave. It's just you're putting a box out in summer heat.
Yeah, it's a tinfoil box.
Yeah,
because it's hot as hell
and
here.
Then we ate our hot dogs and sitting outside for like an hour.
And they're like, the center's still cold, but whatever.
Elementary school in the 90s.
You know what's funny is I think Lenore actually did a CAPS project that was like a microwave cooker.
Yeah, probably.
I think so.
I'm like, that's the only sun project I remember. I don't think we did anything like, I don't know. Like I said, that was a long time ago. We're talking about elementary school now. It's like, what, 30 years ago?
Shut
up.
My
gosh, it was 30 years ago.
Thanks.
Well, that was cool.
Thanks.
Even though it was short, I mean, what else can you say about it other than getting into
too much science? That's like,
I
love it. It's cool, but yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, I'll bring it down, but my like I said, it's not super long, but we always say that. Oh, I should have had it open. Sorry.
I didn't have it either.
Yeah. Okay. Ready?
Yup.
Okay. So this case is one that takes place in California in San Diego Bay. So in Chula Vista. So San Diego area, so south of us. That's like southern California. Like keep driving a little bit.
You want to go to Mexico?
Yeah. So that's if you're not familiar, but I think a lot of people know where San Diego and LA is. But yeah, so it's quite a drive for us. It would take us,
hours.
A couple hours to get there. Okay, so this takes place on December 30th, 2017. Or what did I say? September 30th? Yeah, September 30th. Sorry. So Omar Medina had just moved out of his place and went over and was visiting his mom, and he hadn't quite figured out where he was going to go next. So all of his belongings were packed up in his car. He started talking to his sister Alicia about his plans, and he was like, I don't want to stay with mom. There's a lot of family members already there, like aunts and cousins or whatever. But he was like, I'll figure it out. And then he was like, I gotta go. I'll be back later. So he told his sister, I'll be back. So she, went and did her thing, came back to the house later, and he was not there. So at first, she's like, yeah, whatever. He's probably still busy doing whatever he's doing. So she sent him a message on Facebook Messenger, and it showed he got the message. Then after a couple hours, she's messaging him again, but then it never shows that he saw the message. Okay. So
he's not currently active on his phone.
So the first time, saw it. Second time, nothing. She didn't really worry too much about it. But then a couple days later, she gets a call from her mom asking if she's heard from Omar. And that's when they know something's wrong. Nobody's heard from him in a couple days. And I get it as a sister, because at first you're like, oh my gosh, you're trying to get a hold of him? Dude, I'll text my brother and I don't hear from him for 3 days. It's not a big deal. It's they're doing their own thing, whatever. So they both know something's wrong. They can't get a hold of him. Nobody's heard from him. So they call the police to file a missing persons report. One of the first things that his sister Alicia thinks to do is check through his phone records. So I'm assuming it's probably like most families. You go to Family Plan, you can just pull up your thing. If he's trying to figure stuff out, he's probably still either on his sister's or his mom's, or they both are, or whatever.
Yeah.
So she checks his phone records, and she can see that there's no calls after she last saw him, which is not normal for anybody,
Yeah.
Usually you'd be calling a friend or texting a friend, whatever. So she decided to start going out, posting missing persons flyers. And then she gets a call from a friend that her brother's car was found only a couple blocks away from where he used to live, where he just moved out of. So she immediately goes there to make sure nobody touched the car, because they don't know where he is.
Right.
And she calls the police. Police show up, and they can see that the car is unlocked, And everything that he had in the car when he showed up to his mom's house and was talking to his sister, everything looked like it was still there. Like nothing was stolen. Everything's still there. And there's a lot of things of value, such as like your guitar, a computer, like other things. So it's like weird. The car's unlocked. Nothing's stolen, but everything's there. So officers talk to Alicia, and she tells them, you need to go to the house that he used to live at and talk to the landlord, Tim Cook, and ask him if they can, like, you know, look through the place. Like, you need to go talk to him because he just moved out. That's why all of his stuff's here. You need to figure out if something happened over there. So the place where he was staying at is kind of like a back house. Like it's like, you know, a little studio type thing. And it, which is funny because
so like, popular around here. Like, yeah. And I'm like, those aren't a thing in Oregon.
Yeah. So funny enough, I could kind of picture that. Well, I could picture it just even listening to this, but, growing up, my grandma's house, the one that my Aunt Patty lived in, had a back house. So it was a garage that they converted into like a studio apartment. And it was like
laughing. It reminds me of that. Oh my God, I'm gonna be that person. Well, you know that movie with Fanboys. Oh my God, he's like, it's not a garage, it's a carriage house.
So yeah, it was like, because they had a pool, so it might have been, I don't know how it looked before, but you could see where the garage is because it still has a garage door. There's nothing behind that garage. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
But it looks like a garage, but it's a house. And so you walk in through the front door and there's like your little dining room, kitchen, bathroom. And then on the other side of the house is like your living room and bedroom and a closet. It's just like a big garage. Like they added on to it, but it was like a guest house. And so when my dad got injured at work, this is when I was like little, but I think before Brad was born, or right when he was born, we lived back there in that back house because it was just my mom and dad and me, and then Brad was born. And we lived there for a little while until I think that's when we moved to the other house that I grew up in. But yeah, so it was like I could kind of picture it like that. So I think that's kind of how it was. It was like an extra little living space. I'm sure it had a little bathroom, something. So anyway, so they go and they are like, we need to check out the place. They walk in and see that it looks like it's under construction. There's debris all over. There's no carpet. Floor looks kind of wet. And yeah, one of the windows is broken. And Tim Cook says that he was just renovating the space that he could turn it into a game room. He was like, I'm not renting it out anymore. I'm done with that. Like, I'm going to turn it into a game room. So they're like, oh, okay. Like, I guess it makes sense. You know, you have someone move out. You're like, I'm getting right to work. I'm going to tear everything out and turn it into what I want to turn it into.
Yeah, I guess you don't know what they did to the carpet.
You never know. It could have been nasty. Like, really, I've seen some horror stories. But anyway, so detectives then decide that they need to look at surveillance cameras around the area to help trace Omar's steps. And they're trying to trace back to the steps of how does his car, so they know where his car is, how did his car get there? So they look at a gas station surveillance camera and in the area, and they can see his car come up to the stop sign and then go into the intersection and off to the street that he lived on. Of course, the surveillance is like really grainy. You can't see who's driving the car.
It's always crap.
It's always crap quality, but you could at least see that's his car. Looks like his car. So then they see him walking back to where his car had gone, and he like walking away, and he doesn't come back.
Okay.
So 12 days after Omar has disappeared, so he's been gone for over a week, almost 2 weeks now. No sign of him, just his car. Someone calls in about a large 55-gallon drum floating in the water.
Oh, dear.
There were holes drilled into it, and there were some steel cable lines that were strung into some cinder blocks like around it, obviously to try to sink it. The drum is retrieved by Harbor Patrol. Now, remember, this is San Diego, like Bay Area.
My face, I'm just like...
It's opened, and they can look in, and they see a brown blanket and a human hand sticking out from the blanket. The barrel that contained the body was obviously brought in so they can check it out and start their investigation. And the next day, autopsy was done, and the pathologist was not able to determine the time or even the day. Like, he's been in the water too long to, you know, you kind of can't narrow it down. It's not like it happened within the past 24 hours or 48 hours. The body's been in the water for a bit. Body had about 66 stab wounds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So clearly violent crime, obviously homicide, because the body does not just randomly end up tied up into a barrel. They were able to find some tattoos on the body, and this helped them identify the body as Omar Medina. So since the body, the barrel with the body was found in the water, now they have more surveillance footage area that they could cover, because they're like, okay, now we figured out, how his car got there. We need to figure out, how did his body end up in a barrel in the water?
Yeah.
So they look at a boat ramp from the day that Omar disappeared, and also the day before, day after, So they can see on surveillance a green pickup truck with a tan stripe across it pull up to the boat ramp with a small boat attached to the trailer that it was hauling. Now, something interesting about this is this boat was a freshwater boat that should not have been put into the Pacific Ocean. Now, I don't know a lot about I didn't know about a boat.
Don't know boats.
I
don't know about boots, eh?
I didn't know about boots. I don't know a lot about boats, but I do know this.
I don't either.
My parents have a boat in Newport, California, Newport Beach, California, in the harbor, and you could definitely tell what's like an ocean boat. And my parents' boat is not big at all. It's called a Duffy boat, and you can rent them. But it basically can fit, I think, like probably 10, 12 people, like around the table on the back deck. It doesn't have a bathroom or anything. It's just a little boat you take out. You don't take it into the ocean. It's not one of those type of things. It's like the Newport Harbor is so big. You just go around, you look at houses there. You could pull up to the dock. And so you don't see freshwater boats even in the harbor. Like, you just don't, because it's like the ocean. Now, if you go to a lake, you've got like fishing boats, all that. So this boat that was put into the water was like a lake boat, a river boat, not an ocean boat, which is odd. So anyways, boat's backed up into the water and someone is in it. And so they take off. So there's two people, one guy in the truck backs up, the guy in the boat takes off.
Okay.
The truck goes up. It shows the boat going out far into the harbor, and then it's seen coming back less than an hour later, and it goes up to the boat dock, and then the guy backs the truck back. He gets back up on the thing, and they leave. So there's something that they noticed about the boat when it went out and when it came in. When the boat was put into the water, it gives me goosebumps thinking about this part. When they look at it again, they see, okay, this is the boat. This is obviously, as like I said, the type of boat is a big red flag. This has to be the boat. Then they watch it again, and they're looking, and they see that the boat goes out, and it's real low.
Oh.
It comes back, it's a lot higher. So something
weights.
Heavy was on the boat, and then it comes back, that heavy weight is gone. So that's a little odd. So they look closer at the pickup truck and there are two suspects. Of course, you can't really see much on surveillance cameras when it's far away, but it is clear it's two males. Now, they also have a time frame of when the barrel was dumped, which can kind of narrow down the time frame of death. So they know it happened, obviously, before the body was put in, the water, because he was stabbed to death.
Yeah.
So they start looking around the area, and they find surveillance from a building close to the harbor. And on this surveillance footage, once again, it's another case where a lot of surveillance helps. And I love these kind of cases.
Yeah.
It's so cool. But surveillance footage shows that truck with the boat at an intersection.
Oh.
And they can...
See, I never would have thought, dirt,
you
check
just,
everywhere else around it.
You just backtrack. So then it's like, okay, here's the dock. Let's go back, or the boat ramp. Let's go back. What intersections would they be? Let's just go. Okay, where did they turn? Where did they come from? So because of this, they can see the model of the truck, but it's not really helpful because there's a lot of that truck. And then they also see the model of the boat, and they determine that it is a bass tracker bass boat. Like I said, a fishing boat, like that you take on a lake to fish for bass.
Oh God. And you know what sucks too? Those kinds of boats usually have a depth radar, so they probably went out.
I mean, a lot. Like my parents have one too.
The deep
but yeah,
they're like, hey, this is deeper than back here, let's drop it here.
Yeah. So they're like, they know the type of boat it is, so they they're like, we need to see if we could figure out the more about this boat. So they talked to the manufacturer of the boat and sent pictures of the boat, and they were able to narrow down the year range for the boat because of all those pictures. I mean, the manufacturer is going to know like when they made that boat. So just like with cars, boats need to be registered.
Right.
And so the California DMV was able to provide a list of hundreds of people with boats registered to them with that model and year range. So because they don't have a lot of suspects, they can't really narrow that down. At least they have like something to go off of.
Yeah.
So they decide to go back to potentially the last place that Omar was, which was his former residence.
Right.
So they decide, you know what, we're going to secretly surveil the landlord, Tim Cook. And they watch him, and they can see that he's, cleaning up the property, pressure washing driveway, carrying out the trash. I guess kind of things you're going to do if you're, revamping the place. But he's
after killing somebody.
Yeah. But here's kind of something that was a red flag is he's not carrying all this trash into the trash cans, like into the barrels. He's putting it in his car.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like he's carrying it to the driveway and putting it in his trunk. So he leaves it the trash.
Do that after everything's full.
Yes, exactly. Then you take it to the dump or whatever. But no. So when he leaves with the trash, detectives decide they're going to stop him at a traffic stop and search his vehicle. The trash bags are full of rags and trash, of course, and there's a very strong smell of bleach.
Uh-oh.
So that's enough to have probable cause to get an arrest warrant. They're sure he's got to be one of those men in the video with the truck and the boat. So they then see that his brother has a storage facility. So they go to search that storage yard. And what do they find? The truck that they saw on the surveillance at the marina. So detectives are able to take the vehicle in as evidence and search it, like, completely. Inside the truck, there's a receipt for Home Depot. On this receipt,
was it a can of fucked up paint?
Many no.
Sorry.
On this receipt shows obviously you have your store number, date, timestamp. So detectives now know the exact store they need to go to. We need to see surveillance from this time. And talk about surveillance at Home Depot. Now, as you know, Jack was like manager for 15 years. Jack worked for Home Depot for forever. And I don't know that he ever had to do this like with cops and stuff with surveillance, but you can pretty much pull up like if someone's coming in, oh, I bought this at this time or whatever. You could pull up, date, time, all that and see. That happened to me one time when I went to Stater Brothers and they didn't give me my cash back, and I came back and I was like, wait, I never got my $100. It was $100.
Yeah. And
they were like, okay, hold on a second. And you know how they have like them all up in the top, and they were like, they reviewed it and they
looked down your boobs.
Yeah. And they just looked at the timestamp on my receipt, and they looked at the cashier.
But there wasn't two separate.
And they could see the cashier never took my $100 out and gave it to me, so they gave me my $100. But
good.
Another thing is the surveillance at Home Depot. I had seen a TikTok about this, and it's funny because I know this because Jack works there. When you go to Home Depot and they have the little screen and it says like you're being like watched or recorded or whatever, and you can see yourself, and then you see it's like a video playing of a guy at a desk. Have you ever seen this?
I don't think so.
Okay, so it's like a guy at a desk and he's like looking over surveillance footage or whatever. I saw a TikTok about this, and the guy was like, is that guy like really watching it? Is that real? Like, does Home Depot have like someone that sits? I mean, every store kind of does. That's, what's it called? Loss prevention.
Right.
But
they usually only have one person.
Yeah.
And they're at the front door.
Those cameras do record. They are actual cameras, but the little video feed, all the comments on TikTok, people were like, oh, the same guy watches my store. And so Jack told me that's a loop. That's not real. So I'm not going to get sued for that, but whatever. But it's not real. but the camera is real. You are being recorded, but there's no guy sitting at
I don't have time for
a
that.
desk. And it's so funny because the guy sitting at the desk kind of looks like Jack. It's really funny. But anyway, so
he's outsourced, that's all.
Yeah. But it kind of looks like a combination of Jack and Matt, like, because it's just the back of the guy's head and like the back of him and his Home Depot apron. But anyways,
nice.
So yeah, you can go to pretty much any store and say, especially if you have a receipt, it shows the exact time you're at that register. They can pull up the surveillance from that exact time. You can see who the cashier was, all of that. So they go to this Home Depot and they have this receipt to pull up the surveillance. So that's, a good lead. They know they got to go there. But during the search, they also find a coffee mug that had a picture on it. And they didn't know who the man in the picture is. And but it's like, hey, they have an identifying face here. There's also a fingerprint on the receipt, and the fingerprint matches the person on the coffee mug. So his name is Derek Spurgeon, and he lives about 30 minutes away. So they take this name and address, and they cross-reference it to the list of registered boat owners, and they make a connection that Derek Spurgeon's girlfriend is a registered owner of a bass tracker bass boat. So because of this, they're able to get a search warrant for the property.
Can you imagine your boyfriend dumps a body with your fucking boat?
Oh, I would be livid.
Because you're not going to get that boat back.
No,
not
you're
for
not.
a long time, at least.
So they go to this residence, and they get the warrant to seize the boat. They take the boat, and they could see that there were some changes that had been made to the boat, such as seats that were removed and some carpeting as well.
Ew, because it probably leaked.
So there were cinder blocks around the boat that, like, on the ground that were similar to the cinder blocks tied around tied to the barrel. There's still not concrete evidence in order to arrest anyone. This is all they're building their case. So like I said, they have the receipt. So they go to the surveillance, and the person on the footage in the Home Depot is Tim Cook, the landlord. Yeah. He is seen in the self-checkout purchasing cleaning supplies, a push broom, other cleaning stuff. So now they're like, this is looking a little suspicious. So,
but he could still be like, well, I was renovating and I needed this stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, I think he works in like construction or something. So it was a little odd that he's buying all these cleaning supplies. So they get a search warrant for the residence. And in the time between when the residence was first looked at, searched, and now there is a huge change in what has been done. There's no drywall. There's no flooring. Oh. Everything's been pressure washed and deep clean.
With bleach.
And it has been cleaned up with bleach. Yes, they could tell he bleached the place. It's completely, it's not going to have anything. So in his residence, the sink had been torn out. Looks like he's trying to get rid of maybe blood. It's clearly a crime scene cleanup. Yeah. So forensics were brought out, but no blood could be found in the space where our Omar lived. But they did find a shit ton of bleach. He clearly cleaned up with a lot of bleach. Yeah. So detectives now know they need to search more, past Tim Cook because he's got an accomplice. So they decide to look into Tim Cook, this landlord, a little bit more. They get a search warrant for his Google account. I would die. The amount I've talked to you about this, like this amount of stuff we search for this. But then my job, the stuff that I had to search, I was like, somebody better, like, at least I have reasons. But yeah, so anyways, they look into his, Google account and everything. And they see that, he had pictures of Omar's banking information, social security number, and other identifying information. The landlord had all of this stuff. So they're thinking financial motive. So
yeah, because, I mean, again, like, your landlord would have that, though. It would, but, I mean, I don't think my landlord ever got my social security number.
My landlord don't have mine, no.
But, like, outside of that, like, banking info and stuff, maybe you could still make a thing. But yeah, they're getting it.
Yeah, they're starting to connect the dots because they need to find motive. Right. So now it's financial. So they now need to connect their two suspects together, the guy who used his girlfriend's boat and then him. He's linked to the truck because it's in his brother's, anyways. So they look at the surveillance of a convenience store or like gas station. It's like both, like a AM, PM or whatever. It's close to Derek Spurgeon's house. Remember the guy with the boat?
Yeah. About
2 hours before the boat was seen at the marina, on this surveillance camera, they can see the truck with the boat pull up into the gas station. And so far, this is the clearest picture that they have of the boat and the truck. And it's so clear, they can actually see the barrel in the bed of the truck.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Well, good, but that sucks, but good.
So Derek Spurgeon is seen getting out of the passenger side of the truck and going to the gas pump, and he fills up the boat with gas. The driver of the truck goes into the convenience store. At first, it's not this person. You can't really tell who he is at first. He's wearing a red shirt, tan, like kind of cargo shorts, and a baseball hat. He's seen going into the store, paying for some items. And then while he is standing there, a tattoo on one of the back of his legs, they notice it's the same one Tim Cook has. That's totally him.
Okay.
So they immediately get an arrest warrant for both men. And of course, they were both arrested and brought in. Their call records were searched. And this is where the timeline of events is just bloop. It all comes together.
Yeah.
It all matches up to the surveillance footage. When they were dumping the barrel with Omar's body into the bay, Derek's phone connects to a cell phone tower in the harbor area. Tim's phone then connects to a tower in the same area. So they're both in that area. They're also both seen together on surveillance. So they know this is enough. They work together to get the truck and the boat, dump the body together. Yeah. So they both, of course, plead not guilty. Tim Cook was ultimately convicted of second-degree murder. And since prosecution was not able to prove premeditation, he was sentenced to 45 years to life. Because it could have just been in the moment he stabbed him that many times. I don't know. Yeah. That's insane to me.
Yeah.
Derek Spurgeon ended up pleading guilty to illegally disposing of a body and is sentenced to 6 months. Yeah. So there's no proof that Derek had anything to do with it. Tim probably killed him and then called up his buddy. Hey, I need your boat. We need to dump this.
But he may not even know.
He might not have known what it was.
That's
exactly
true. Which, like, that's the best case scenario.
Yeah, he would. But I mean,
right?
I don't know. I love you, but I'm not gonna help dump a random barrel in the
exactly.
in the bay for you.
I'm gonna no.
What's in here? What are we doing?
That's littering.
I know. We can't do that. What about the sea trolls?
I know.
Like yeah. So he had to have known. He had to have known. There's no way.
Anything nefarious, at least. You could have been dumping guns or drugs. That'd be dumb. But like, still, something's going on. You're not going to tell me you're not using my girlfriend's boat.
And it's heavy. He's the one that put it in the body. In the bin. He's the one that put the body in the harbor. He's the one that drove the boat. So anyways,
yeah,
whatever. So now they're thinking, okay, what's the motive? Probably money related. Tim didn't want to give Omar his deposit back when he moved out, so there's probably some sort of an argument. And Omar got stabbed in the process. So they look at bank records and show that Tim had deposited money into his account that night, like the night that Omar went missing, that he had talked to his sister and stuff. It was like that night. So he most likely got killed that night. And Tim deposited the money. So because he had all his banking information, so he knew how to take the money out. Sad part is the amount of money was only $480. So
it's unbelievable.
Right. And then obviously he moved his cars moved, and then they planned to dump his body. But over money, most likely $480. So I mean,
it's crazy. Like, I understand, sure, money sucks. Maybe you get into a fight, you stab him, just stop, call the cops, figure it out. But 66 times or something? Yeah, I'm like, that's overkill to another level for like
oh yeah,
not that any amount of money would matter, but like for nothing. It's so trashy.
I know,
and
it really
and
is sad when you see that a lot of these cases where it's like stabbing or whatever, it's over the smallest amount. It's not even like $1 million or something. It was not even $500.
Yeah.
And this some people just should not be landlords. But yeah, so it was completely senseless, pointless. Why? And so I did, as I have a bunch of times before, I'm probably gonna end up doing every single case on this show of See No Evil. It's on Discovery Plus. It's really good. If you want to see surveillance footage, it gave me goosebumps over and over. Even just talking about it now, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, it's enough to hear about it, but then to like see these people prepping it and stuff,
it makes it very real. I mean, because all of this, as we know, is very real. But when you see it, and
the callousness of the preparation of like, oh, I already did it, now I got to go pick up these things to finish.
Just to see them, like Tim just buying the stuff in Home Depot, like to clean up a murder scene, and he's just so nonchalant about it, and then just backing up the boat, like as if they're just going out for the day.
Yeah.
And that, like, when you could see the boat, like, is really low, and then it comes back and it's a lot higher.
It was crazy because right before you said that, and I was like, I knew it.
Yeah.
Like, because, yeah, I mean, even just if you have a little car and an average sized person in the passenger and driver get out, and the car will, it'll come up. Like, that's normal in just a vehicle with. So just imagine, an above average height dude, cinder blocks, it's an extra 50, 75 pounds. Those barrels ain't light.
No.
We're talking like probably 300 pounds of extra weight on a little boat. Oh, yeah. Come on now.
Yeah. Not even like an ocean boat, like I said. But yeah.
That sucks. That's so sad. Pathetic.
I know.
400. God. It really is. There's no amount of money, but that's like so it's just, y'all know what I mean. It's just like really,
like I
really,
said, if it was $4 million, it would still be why?
Really?
What's the point? Like,
so dumb.
So, anyways, but yeah, it's all in the show notes, so you could see the sources there for both of ours.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, we'll leave it on that because there's not much left I can say. I'm bothered. So, okay, well, with that, stay crafty
and not cry me.
Bye. Bye.